All right, well, it looks like it is just about 1 o'clock Mountain Time. So let's get started. Well, welcome everyone. This is DES 242, Logo and Identity. And we are in our second session of our second week of our fifth mod. So how is everybody doing this Wednesday afternoon? I was gonna say Wednesday evening if you're in the East Coast, but it's not quite that late yet. Wednesday afternoon is what we'll go with. Welcome also to all of our video watchers. As usual, sorry not to have you in person, but glad you are joining along via video. And as usual as well, you can feel free to ask any questions you might have via email, and try to get back to you as soon as possible. Let's see, Nick says most people are coming home from work. I consider that evening. It could be. I could be convinced. 3 o'clock evening. I'm down for. All right. So, oops. Let me shift our slides. Here's our agenda for the day. Basically, we're going to spend a bit of time talking about logos and corporate identities. We're going to be going over. I don't want to say everything you need to know for succeeding in certain elements of this week. But we are going to be, going over lots of things that you might need to know in order to succeed in certain elements this week that might be of a quiz nature. And then, of course, there's the readings and videos, extra course media that will tell you, well, not extra course media, supplementary required course media that should give you some more insight as well. So logos and corporate identities, kind of what they are, how they're different, how to untangle them, that sort of thing. And then we are going to go over assignment 2 to kind of make sure everybody is clear on all the different parts of it, and also kind of what I'm hoping to see, what I'm looking for, and that sort of thing. So logos and corporate identity, assignment 2, and that should basically see us through our time together. All right, so just a couple things to go over as well. 3 learning objectives this week. Define the importance of size, resolution, and color pathway descriptions within logo and identity creation. This is something that you will see a lot in the assessment for this week. We're also going to be talking about that in just a couple minutes. Discuss the impact on logo and identity construction when a company diversifies product offerings. Discuss in the discussion. I think we've been having a pretty good discussion thus far, at least from my perspective. It's been pretty good. And then number 3, analyze the relationship that exists between a logo and a corporate identity. That is moving into the assessment, and we're going to be going over that momentarily as well. So lots of good stuff. I mean, with last week kind of defining what is a logo, this week kind of moving into the realizing what is a logo, and then moving into the corporate identity sphere of things. Lots and lots of learning, which is excellent in many ways. All right, so before we get into what is a corporate identity, we're going to take just a quick detour into the course, because I'm going to highlight and hopefully motivate in a couple areas. So we are in Wednesday of week 2, even though it feels like, week 1, session 2. Oh, apparently we've already done this, but I just mislabeled something. I'll have to switch that up momentarily. But yeah, so even though it only feels like we have just begun things, we are actually quickly nearing the halfway point of the course. So as usual, you want to check your grade and see what you are doing, and also check your grade and see if you are missing anything. And I cannot say this enough, but I will be very open to receiving late work. So if you are missing something, please do your best to get that something in, because it will help everyone. Everyone will win if you are able to do that. So check out your grade, see what's happening. And the whole reason we came in here initially is because we do have this excellent learning coach, Wanda Bryant. She is, I think of her as my co-instructor. I don't know that she thinks of herself as that. But anyway, she is free and available for help, lots of, software skills. She's a great second set of eyes on whatever you happen to be working on. If just some weird thing happens and you need some help, you can check in with her. And another really good thing about Wanda is that she is in the Student Success Center evenings. I know I've heard from many of you in the evenings, and just with the flow of my days, I'm not very good in evenings, but she is. So it's kind of like if something goes wrong and it's in an evening hour for you, check in with her, see kind of what's up, see how she can help, and really, kind of leverage your resources. So be smart about it, and use these things that are available. All right, so I don't think there's anything else to go over here. Yeah, no. So basically, turn in late work if you have any late work. That's my mission. My mission is for everybody to succeed in this class, and that will only happen, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but that will only happen if it is your mission as well. So I'm hoping that we can all get on board because it's good stuff when we do. Okay. All right, so let's shift gears just a little bit and look at corporate identity. So for those of you who are here, quote unquote, in person, and can have the ability to type in the chat box, when I say corporate identity, kind of what comes into your minds, what do you think of, does anything, when I say corporate identity, what kind of happens? And if you're watching via video, what happens for you as well? You can't type in the chat box, sadly. But I mean, that doesn't mean your brain is stopping working. So, what is a corporate identity? All right, so Princess says logo, brand, and feelings toward it, in my opinion. Logo, brand, feelings, all the good stuff. Okay, let's see if anybody else has any. Okay, Nick says, I usually think about like how people feel about companies like Google, the constant struggle to keep Google feeling friendly and helpful. Some claim it's taking over the world. Yeah, it's a constant battle because it is friendly and helpful and everywhere and generally free, which makes it feel extra friendly. And then when you start thinking about it so much, you're like, wow, Google has everything. Interesting how that works. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so we have kind of a general consensus of, kind of it's the logo, it's perhaps the brand, it's kind of the feelings that go with it, kind of that whole like hard to define atmospheric cloud of company stuff. And that's actually kind of a lot of, well, it is a lot of what a corporate identity is. So basically what a corporate identity is officially is the logo plus all the different ways and places where the logo is used. So the corporate identity is the logo, but it is so much more. So it's a little bit, I think it's confusing in terminology because in week 1 we were talking all about logos and brands. And then in week 2, we're kind of shifting to logos and corporate identities. So kind of the way that you can think about how they work is that the logo is the central pillar. Kind of it is the face of the company. It is kind of the most recognizable element. The brand is kind of how people feel about it, how it's perceived culturally, the opinions, that sort of thing. And then the corporate identity is really all the places where the logo or kind of elements of the brand show up. So the corporate identity is, it's almost a much more physical thing because it is actually the stuff of the brand, often implementing the logo. And if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so confusing, it actually is. I mean, it's very murky, but if you kind of think, the logo is the pillar, kind of keep that in mind. The corporate identity is, kind of where stuff shows up. And then the brand is kind of the overall feelings toward the company. That may or may not be helpful. Okay, so logo plus all the different ways and places where the logo is used. So this is kind of important. You may see a question about this in the near future should you go take the assessment. But a logo transforms into an identity system by being placed on designed artifacts. So as soon as you put the logo on a baseball cap, you've created the beginnings of an identity system. And apparently I misspelled it. Extra Y's everywhere. But yeah, so you create an identity system. As soon as you put the logo on a business card and some letterhead in an envelope, you're creating an identity system. So how you're using the logo on stuff turns it into an identity system. All right, so an identity system, you may say, what is that? So basically, it's something that builds upon the logo and incorporates the logo into itself. So, if you put the logo on a coffee mug, you create part of the identity system. If you put it on a billboard, you create part of the identity system. So, anytime the logo is in use, it's turning from just being, a logo out there kind of, doing its thing to being an identity, to being a part of the identity system that you're creating. And in a lot of ways, actually, probably as designers, after we initially design the logo, 95% of our jobs are creating identity systems that are built around the logo. So, we make the logo first, but then the logo has to go on a whole bunch of stuff. So, we're building the system for it. Okay, so logo plus all the different ways where the logo is used, kind of the whole thing. All right, so the central part, and this is kind of a question where you all can feel free to annotate if you would like, or if you're watching via video, you can just kind of watch and think. But yeah, so the central part of a brand identity system is the logo. Do you think that is a true thing or a yes thing? Or do you guys think that that is a false thing, a no thing? So the central part of a brand identity system is actually the logo. And I was going to say, whatever you think, there's no right answer. But actually, shockingly enough, there is a right answer for this one. So, okay. Oh no, Princess says my internet keeps cutting out. Nick says I actually don't know. I think so. Okay, and somebody circled no. So a yes, a no. Actually, the answer is yes. So the logo is kind of the pillar. The logo is the core. The logo is at the center of every brand identity system. So the logo kind of sets the pace, and it does, it kind of makes sense if you think that a brand identity system is, or I'm sorry, well, you can say a corporate identity system as well, is all about how the logo gets put on stuff. And so all the stuff it gets put on, changes from client to client, or, whatever the need happens to be. But the logo is the thing that remains consistent. So the logo is what gets, stuck on everything. And it's funny because as I'm talking about this, I'm getting like this idea of like a sticker getting put on places, and like put a sticker on something and say, hey, corporate identity. But I know it's a lot more complicated than that, but the sticker metaphor is haha sticking in my mind. Okay, so central part of an identity system is the logo. Keep that in mind for many, many reasons. Okay, so moving right along. So you have an identity system, which we say, or we've learned is kind of how you're implementing the logo in a whole bunch of different ways. So there are going to be 3 kind of characteristics that creates an effective identity system. So these might be somewhat familiar because they are eerily like those that also create an effective logo. So an effective identity system is simple, it is iconic, and it is consistent. So basically what this means is how you use the logo on different designed artifacts that you're producing should be in a very simple way, should be in a way that's iconic, which means it's memorable, so people see it and they remember. Think how Nike puts their swoosh on a shoe. You know, we see it, we remember. And then it should also be consistent. So it should, not vary that much from item to item so that, everything feels like it really has kind of a common message, kind of a common face. It's understandable to your end user. So characteristics of an effective identity system: simple, iconic, and consistent. All right, so in a logo design, consistency creates awareness. So, and this is kind of, this feels logical because if you have consistency in your logo, which means that it's showing up, it's the same color, it's the same font, you're not doing anything radically different, then people will recognize and understand and see kind of what the logo is all about. So in a logo design, consistency creates awareness. And once again, corporate identity system is kind of where you put the logo on stuff. And we'll just kind of keep on coming back to that. Let's see, Princess says, I just put the size back after, so it's consistent. Yeah, exactly. And actually, changing the sizing is kind of a big sign of consistency. So, you want the logo when it's really tiny to still feel the same as when it's really big. And the reason that you want that is so that your audience, doesn't get confused, and even more so that it reinforces the consistency of the logo. So kind of however people might encounter it, whatever atmosphere or whatever, they'll still say, hey, that's the logo for this. It won't get really tiny and they'll be like, I have no idea what that's a logo for. That's the worst thing. So you want to be consistent so that it can be really be recognizable. Okay, so we have corporate identities. And again, remember, corporate identity basically just means putting the logo on stuff and kind of how you do that in ways that are simple, iconic, and consistent. So that's what creates a corporate identity. So the second part is that we have a style guide, and every logo that is created professionally should also have a style guide with it. So just as we said, what is a corporate identity? Let's do a little 30 seconds. What do you guys think is a style guide? When I say style, what is Nick said something this font needs badly. Hey, we love it. We love the font. And by we, I mean I do. And at this point, it's just easy. Okay, so let's see. Princess says a style guide creates consistency between font, etc. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching via video, what is a style guide? What do you think of? Princess says, am I right? Nick says, I would agree. Something that gives the same style across all mediums. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you guys are both completely correct. So the style guide really is about how to use the logo so that it shows up in a consistent way, so it shows up in an iconic way, basically so that you kind of take the guesswork out of working with the logo. So it's kind of interesting to note that the whole reason that we make style guides are actually not so much for ourselves, because since we are the creator of something, we kind of tend to intuitively know how it should be used and what it should be doing, and all that kind of stuff. So who style guides are actually for future people who work with the logo. So if you make a logo for a client, and that's kind of the extent of their of your interaction with them, at some point they're going to hire another designer, and shocking as this sounds, it might not be you, but they're going to say, hey, we really need this brochure made, or we need this signage made, or we need our website updated, or something like that. And so, when they hire that new person, what that person is going to do is say, okay, I've got this logo. I wonder how it actually works. I wonder, what I should actually be doing with it. I wonder what these colors actually are. A big one for me is I wonder what font this actually is. And so it's a good kind of check, so that whoever is working with it really knows kind of what they're doing, and how to kind of work within the parameters. And once again, this is very important because you don't want anyone taking your logo that you've lovingly designed and poured your heart and soul into, and then taking it and kind of doing their own thing and changing the font and changing the color and cramping it and just doing anything like that. Because not only is that not a great feeling to see as a designer, but it's also not great for the company, because suddenly you're presenting a very inconsistent front, and so people will be getting confused as to what the company actually is, what it's about, all that sort of stuff. So style guides basically outlines kind of how to use the logo. So whether it's font and color are kind of what we're going to go over in this week, but there could be a whole bunch of other options as well. So what is a style guide? Basically a guide that outlines how these things should be used. And who is it for? It's actually for future people who might be working with the logo. All right, so things that a style guide must include. It's very kind of specialized for whatever company or industry you're making it for. But at minimum, a style guide must include a color style guide, so outlining what colors are being used for any given logo. For the logo that you've designed, what colors would go with it, and then also a type style guide, which again is going to outline things like what kind of font you're using, what kind of spacing the font has, what fonts go with the font that you're using, just all kind of the technical stuff of what you're doing. All right, so color style guide, type style guide, good stuff. All right, so we're going to kind of just take a couple minutes to break down what are generally thought to be included in each of the different parts, and then talk a bit about resolution, and then probably shift gears into the assignment where we're actually going to be kind of creating these things. So color guide, so what color stuff usually goes in? So pretty easy, pretty kind of self-explanatory, but all colors actually used in the logo itself must be noted, and they must be noted in a couple different ways. So you want to show them in I'm trying to say RGB and CMYK at the same time, not working. So you need to do it in RGB, CMYK, and also what are known as hex colors, so hex pathways as well. So RGB is screen-based output, CMYK is for printing, and then hex colors are actually what's used in web design. So for any kind of web or mobile app variations, you want to make sure that you you include that as well. So all colors used, and then also what's a good thing to include are Nick kind of mentioned this with related color palettes, but any sort of tints or tones that go with that kind of could go with the colors. Those are helpful to include as well, mostly because, you know, if you do have a logo that has some like just bold neon colors or something, chances are somebody's going to need to use another color somewhat related to those colors, but not, you know, not quite those colors. So if you just kind of have some tints and tones that were possible, would be possible options, it's just kind of a help for future, for those future designers, to just kind of help give them some good guidance as well. All right, so all colors used, good tints and tones, RGB, CMYK, and hex color pathways, kind of at minimum what to have. All right, so the type guide, what you should have are a couple things. So first thing is the primary typeface. And with the primary typeface, basically that means the typeface that is used most prominently. So whatever typeface you have that's kind of like the main event of your logo. So I'm thinking just specifically for Princess, I think she's using Alice in Wonderland. So that's an example of that, and just kind of saying what that is. Oftentimes showing all the characters that are in the typeface to just kind of give the example again of, you know, what it's looking like. So primary typeface, just remember the typeface that is used most prominently, kind of what that means. And then the other thing that's often shown in the type style guide is the safe zone that should be included around any logo. And so basically what the safe zone refers to is the open space that's seen around a logo. And that's really to preserve the readability of what the logo looks like when there's stuff around it. I was thinking you don't want it to be squeezed, but that wasn't coming out in words. But yeah, so every logo needs, you know, some sort of buffer, just so that you can make sure that when you're putting elements together, you don't have things that are, you know, too close together. You don't have crowding, that sort of thing. So most type style guides have the primary typeface. This is at minimum, you know, most type style guides have a whole lot more, but at minimum, primary typeface, and then kind of the safe zone in order to preserve readability within a logo. So primary typeface, space, safe zone, not space zone, but the safe zone for space. Okay, so that is type style guide. So kind of the very high end overview, high format overview. So one other kind of final thing that we're going to talk about is the final file forms. And basically what this has to do with is how you give files to clients when you are finished with projects. So kind of what formats you should be giving them, what you should be thinking about, how you should be designing, all that sort of stuff. So first thing, provide everything possible for clients. So when I was first a designer a long time ago, I had this feeling that when I was giving files to clients, I should only give them like packaged, flattened stuff. I shouldn't give them anything that was like a native file or a working file because I did not want them to steal my stuff. I've since come to realize that they basically own it anyway because I made it for them. And if you are a designer in the future working with something, it's just so much easier to work with a native file as opposed to working with something that's been flattened already and kind of pre-saved. So I'm a big believer in when you do a sign-off or a send-off for a file for a client, just give them everything. And there's probably like a 98% chance that they won't care and they won't be able to open it and they won't use, you know, a PSD or an InDesign native or an Illustrator native. But that 2% chance that they will work with a designer in the future and that designer will need something in a different layout or alignment or something, and they can work from your natives. It's just so much better. So I'm a big fan of just giving the client everything, because you never know and they never know what they're going to do or what they're going to need it for. So you can see here packaged files win. So in both Illustrator and InDesign, there is a bit of functionality that just allows you to package your file. And what that means is basically just what it sounds like. So it takes all the elements, so it takes the font, it takes the colors, it takes images, and it sticks it all in a folder. And then within that folder, it's kind of everything that's gone into the file. So packaging files is always a good idea. And actually, I even just package files for myself, even when it's my own personal stuff, because it's a good way to stay organized. So, moral of the story, InDesign and Illustrator, packaged files are a good idea. Okay, so a couple, this is kind of like lightning round lightning round file extensions, what they mean and why you would use them. So if you have something that you're creating a physical print of, it's a good idea to, well, if you have something you're creating a physical print of for a client, so something that is going to be outputted on a printer and you could, you know, hold in your hand or touch, it's very good if you save it as both a TIFF and a PSD. So these are both very high resolution file formats. These are big, bulky files that have a ton of information. You can resize these, you can enlarge these, you can be dazzled by them in many ways. But yeah, so kind of good things to note. If you're doing a physical print, primarily of kind of a visual, you would be doing it in a TIFF or in a PSD. On the other hand, if you're doing everything for kind of web or mobile production or any kind of screen-based output, you want to avoid TIFF and PSD because they're just too bulky and big. And what you want to do is go for JPEG or PNG. So if you have, you know, a client you're working with and they say, hey, I'm going to take all of these pictures and I'm going to put them up on my website, and can you do it for me? Can you make it work? Can you make it beautiful? You say, yes, I can. And then you quickly go to save for web, and you are saving it as JPEGs or PNGs so that they are small and compressed. You have to remember, if they want to print them, they will maybe work, maybe not. So just kind of keep it open, keep that open mind. But yeah, if it's printing, you know, go the other way, go to the TIFF or the PSD. But yeah, so JPEG, PNG, web friendly web production. Let's see, chat box. Because I don't understand why people still use JPEG. We need to get PNG updated so people stop trying to phase it out. Yeah. And I mean, all of these things, it is, it's a little fluid, you know, what is what, but yeah. All right, so TIFF, PSD, JPEG, PNG, keep that in mind. All right, and then last but not least, because this is a course that is so much about logo design and that whole process, whenever you are designing logos, it's very important that you choose a vector format. And the reason that the vector format is so key is because you want to be able to give your clients a logo that they or designers that are the future, this the subtext of this whole session is, how to make friends with designers of the future. But yeah, so designers of the future, if they work with your logo, you want to give it to them in a way that they have the most chance of making it work. So you want to give it to them in versions of Illustrator, an EPS, or a PDF. So all of these have the option of being vector. And so these are things you want to provide. I would say practically AI and EPS are the best, but you can open a PDF in Illustrator a lot of the time and be able to do some manipulations in it as well, which is kind of a nice thing. And actually, I will say with a lot of your files that you turn in as PDFs, I do open them in Illustrator and kind of just see what I think, see how I would guide you, see what I would do see what I would do if I were you type thing. So choose vector, Illustrator, EPS, or PDF pathways. So that's kind of the high-level overview of corporate identities, style guides, file formats, that sort of thing. One thing we did not talk about, because I kind of feel like everybody knows it, but that's probably a faulty assumption to make, because I know there's a lot of stuff that people assume I know, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that. Which, yeah, I actually just learned something this morning about the chemical properties of vinegar, and I was like, whoa, never knew it. And it seems like it's a no-brainer, but it's not really. But anyway, completely unrelated. The thing I was thinking of is file resolution and kind of what that means. So if you are printing an image, you want to make sure that in addition to being CMYK, you can also have it at a resolution size of at least 300. So 300 DPI is a good spot, so it turns out nice and sharp. And then if you are looking at web-based output, it's around 72 is generally agreed as kind of a good size. So 300 for print, 200 or 72 for web. If you try to put a 300 resolution image on the web, it would actually work fine. It would just be huge and might take a while to load. So it's that's okay. If you take a 72 image and you try to print it out, there's a very good chance it'll end up pixelated and blurry. So it's not a good option to go that way. So 300 for print, 72 for anything that's going to be showing up on the web. So kind of keep that in mind as well. All right, so that takes us through the different things you might need to know for something that hopefully will be in all of your futures. And let me switch back into here, which would be this guy. And we're not going to take the assessment together, but we are going to just take a quick browse of it so that you can kind of see what you think, see how you feel, that sort of thing. So you'll see here that just a couple things of note. The learning objectives covered in the quiz itself are all about size, resolution, and color pathway. And then also the relationship that exists between a logo and a corporate identity. So second part of our last 39 minutes was about color, size, and resolution. First part was about logo, corporate identity. So kind of think back to what we covered. And I'm actually going to do a preview of the quiz. And we can do this because how the quizzes work are that there's probably about 75 questions. So at any point they shuffle the deck and you can kind of, get new questions as you will. But just kind of a demystifier so you guys know what to think, what it's going to look like. Hopefully this kind of, dials down any quiz anxiety that we all might be having. So what characteristics of an effective identity system support the idea that someone recognizes the larger company whenever they see a piece of logo collateral? So remember, effective identity systems, simple, iconic, consistent, color-coded. Which one might it be? Someone recognizes it, so kind of think about that. If an identity system is iconic, what happens every time someone sees a piece of it? Are they confused? If it's iconic, hopefully not. So think about that. Can a corporate identity package ever not include a logo? If so, when? Could it ever not? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know, but for you all, you'll have to mull that over if you get this question. In logo design, what does the acronym KISS stand for? We did not talk about this, but I have a feeling we've talked about this last week. What do a business card, website header, and stationery package all have in common? Interesting. What will they all do? It's not they're made out of paper, which I was about to say that, but no, website header, not so much. Okay, so which features within Illustrator ensure that all photos, linked graphics, and text are placed in a folder along with the final document? So this is kind of how we send files off to clients, what we do with them first. Typography guide explains all of the following about type usage except what. And this is actually something I know we didn't go over, but I know it's in the course media, so make sure you check that out. Who is your ultimate audience when creating identity guidelines? This one we went over a lot, so if you happen to see this question, you are good. When creating a color guide, what color creation pathways should you include? Nick says, remember everyone, these assessments are open book. Yes, I would fully support that, and we'll actually even go look where the books are for these assessments, so good stuff. Which file format should never be used for commercial printing? Probably because it's appropriate for the web. What type of image should your final logo be? All the following are elements that determine logo safety space sizing, except what? And again, this is course media all the way. What element of a logo is thought to be most memorable? I actually have no idea, but I have a pretty good guess. But we're not guessing. When handing off a logo to a client for full usage, what must you do to ensure that the typeface is usable for future applications? Good stuff. And then matching file formats with deliverable output. So you may or may not see similar questions when you take the quiz, but just kind of giving you an overview of what the questions are like, so that you won't, click on it and then be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Because I know I've had that feeling many times. So I want to make sure that you guys do not. Okay, so one other thing too is, as Nick reminded us, open book for all the assessments, and come over here to week 2 and look around, and here's kind of a clue as well. If you look at where the learning objectives are matched with the course media, you can kind of know where to look for the information that you need to succeed on the in the assessment. Let's see, Princess says, can you make sure oh yeah, I can definitely do image coloring. But yeah, so that is the assessment. So take it and be brave. I know you guys can all do it and succeed very well. Just take your time, think, do a double check after you answer the questions, and all should be good. All right, so let's go into the assignment for this week and talk about kind of putting the pieces together, what it all means. Okay, so a couple things to note about this assignment. There's already been one submission, and I think after I saw the one submission, I said, I think we need to really clarify what this is. So basically what you did ideally is that in week 1, you came up with 9 different possible sketches for your logo. These were super loose, kind of glorified scribbles, or they're actually really amazing, so kind of that whole spectrum. And then from those 9 sketches, you said, hey, these 3 are really calling my name and speaking to me. Therefore, I'm going to recreate them on the computer, kind of make them more polished, make them more finalized. And so that's kind of what you did for week 1. So for week 2, you are going to choose your favorite, or I was going to say, or choose my favorite, since I was the one that gave you all feedback. But kind of choose whatever you feel like is kind of the best direction. And generally, I think you and I both kind of had the same thoughts, because I could see, you know, most people clearly had one really strong direction, and 2 others that were kind of like, meh, maybe not. So you know, the strong one wins. But yeah, so you're going to take that one single strong direction, and you're going to do any sort of refinements, revisions that you might need to it. And you know, for some of you, you didn't have any. You know, it was like, great, go for it. You know, do your thing. For others of you, it was like, oh, I think it's really working here, but you know, think about where you can put the type, which is kind of something we did in yesterday's session quite a bit. Or you know, just think about the arrangement of these elements, or think about how this could be a bit more clear, you know, just like little, you know, tweaking details type thing. So you're going to take that, you know, do whatever you need to for it, and then show that logo in a whole bunch of different ways. So these different ways you're going to do it is in black and white, which you already should have from last week, so that's kind of building on that. Excuse me, in grayscale. And so this is if you have multiple shades, you would then convert those into gray and kind of see what that might look like. Then in CMYK with color swatches labeled or shown as a key, and then in RGB with color swatches labeled or shown as a key, and then shown at the following sizes. So 1 inch, 3 inch, 6 inches. So in color at those sizes, in black and white at those sizes. Logo in black and white on a dark background, and logo in color in a dark background. So this is kind of putting the logo through its paces and seeing, you know, just how it's performing in all these different ways. So this is the single logo that you're refining. So don't do this to all the logos that you showed me. Just do this for one, and make sure that it's, you know, essentially portfolio quality. So it should be a pretty professional piece that you're putting together. All right, so here's the official prompt. So after receiving feedback on your week 1 submission, review or refine and finalize the logo direction that you feel is most appropriate. So one direction. Consider how you can best maintain consistency, there's that word again, within the typeface color and overall logo composition. So kind of instructions, refine your best logo direction. So kind of take the feedback and, you know, figure out what you need to do. Number 2, add the color elements that will work with the initial client's color requests and keywords. So a lot of you guys had in that initial client document, like, we love pastels and we hate, you know, the color green or something. You know, I don't think anybody had that, but you know, something of that, kind of something of that idea. So pick your color keywords off of that, and you know, kind of use that as your guide. So then you're going to create a set of logo sheets that includes the following elements. So a title bar with both your name and your client's name. The original logo clearly marked before or existing logo. The logo this is, you know, going to be your new logo, in black and white. The logo in grayscale, color swatches in CMYK, the logo in RGB, the black and white logo in multiple sizes, the color logo in multiple sizes, and then black and white on a dark background and the color on a dark background. So you're going to create all of your elements within Illustrator, and then you use InDesign to create your set of sheets, just because InDesign's much easier for layout. If you're one of the few people that are having InDesign issues, you could actually do it all in Illustrator, and that would be okay, but I would recommend InDesign much better. So use master pages, use a grid, and this is kind of important, your submission should be at least 10 pages in length. So this is a multi-page PDF. So if you're putting it all on one page, something is wrong and you are missing many parts. So kind of keep this in mind. And then this also, keep in mind, submit your redesigned logo to your Behance site and email a link to your FPA and CC your instructor. So usually we have like the, quote unquote portfolio thing that happens at the final week. In this course, we're actually doing it at the second week as well, so that you can, show off what you're doing and get everybody involved and say, look at this cool stuff I came up with, and also put it in your portfolio so you have it as a record there. Okay, so let's talk, now that we've gone over all the logistics, let's look at practically kind of how to go about doing all of this stuff. So I am going to check to see if Illustrator is open, which it's not. I'm going to open Illustrator in just a bit. We can go from there. So just as a reminder, if you are kind of coming into this week and you're still feeling a little bit behind from week 1, you can always do a simple word mark logo, which basically means you would just type the name of the company in a font that feels appropriate, and you should be, pretty good in that way. You should be able to kind of catch up quickly, or you can, go through the whole process as well, and that's fine too. So I'm just going to stop sharing for 1 second while Illustrator loads. Okay. All right, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so basically what I would recommend that you do is that you begin by opening up your black and white logo in Illustrator and start by putting it in color and just kind of making the different versions of it, so that then you'll have something to bring into InDesign when you put together your logo sheets. So I don't have a working document of a logo, so I'm just going to quickly make one. I actually feel like I probably had like 5 working logos. Princess says you can use mine. I can just type one. I'll type one and you guys can all be like, oh, mine's way better than hers, and it probably will be. I'll do the financial company. Well, I should have kept my cool logos that I created yesterday, my interesting abstracted word marks. And just a reminder, interesting abstracted word marks, or not word marks, monograms, kind of also a cool thing to do. All right, so this is, go with that. Okay, so this is what my logo looks like so far for a financial, it might have been financial services. I'll just add it at the bottom, services. And we'll put a little symbol on it so we can actually have something to do some bars. It looks like bar charts of money, and we'll put some lines over it. Actually, I kind of like the idea of, ooh, that's kind of cool. Okay. We're doing lines. It's kind of like Frey Financial Services, we make your money go up or something. Okay, we'll put a circle at the bottom so it looks like it's starting somewhere. And get the stroke. And put an arrowhead on it. Okay. Not too shabby. And then we'll just kind of just group that together so it sticks. Okay, so here we have, so let's say this is your logo for Frey Financial Services. Let me just see if there's one more. Dashed, medium, regular. Okay, we'll go with medium. Okay, let's keep it as is. Okay, so let's say that this is your logo. This is kind of what you've settled on. This is it in black and white and such. So I would recommend kind of the easiest way to kind of put it through its colorful paces would be to just make, I would say make a bunch of artboards, or else if you have a big artboard, just kind of make different versions of it on that big artboard. But if you would like to go the multiple artboard path, I feel like it just helps you stay organized. And plus, I think it's good practice working with artboards. So that's what I'm going to recommend. So basically, what you're going to do is once you have your logo, which I'm just going to quickly save. So that's at least the logo. So that just in case I lose something, I have it. Okay, so if you want to make another artboard, just come over here, click on your artboard tool, and then come up to your top navigation area where it says artboard, and then just click on this new artboard link. So artboard tool in your toolbar, new artboard link, and then kind of hover in your documents, and then just click once, and you'll see the new artboard appears. So super simple, artboard link, new artboard, hover in your document, click to create it. Super easy. Okay, so we have it in black and white. So next, which actually let's even label these so we're further organized. Black and white. And we're gonna make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. Okay, so black and white. So next option would be grayscale. Grayscale. And so basically what grayscale means are shades of gray together. So if you have, something that's going to be multiple colors, what that would look like if it were kind of tones, if it were tones of gray instead. So basically, let's say that if I was going to have this be like a bright red, and this is actually, I'm just going to quickly change my font because it's bothering me the more I look at it. Let's change it to Gotham. Let's change it to Lead Gothic. And all caps, and keep that as services. That's good. Okay, so if you were going to have, this Frey Financial be one color, and then have services be a slightly lighter color or something, how you're going to indicate that in grayscale is just have this be like your full-on black, and then take this, and this might be at like a 50% gray. So I'm going to grab this. So copy, Command C, and Command V. And then so I'm thinking I'm going to keep this as bright. And it might actually even be easier for you guys to do it in color first, and then do the grayscale version. So, whatever way you want to kind of go through and see what you're doing. So I'm going to highlight services, and I'm going to turn it to 50%. And I'm going to highlight this guy. And this is also going to be 50%. Maybe this is going to be 25%. So grayscale, basically shades of gray that kind of represent the color changes or the tone changes that would be happening within your logo. So black and white, grayscale. So we're going to come back down here, make another artboard. So artboard tool, New artboard. Drop it down here. And the all important now color versions. I'm just going to copy paste and put it in here. And I'm actually going to come back in here and see all the different versions I have to do this in. Okay, so color. Okay, so logo in black and white, logo in grayscale, color swatches in CMYK. Okay, so logo in CMYK with color swatches shown or as a key. So let's jump into here. So okay, so now we are going to choose colors for this company and open up our swatches panel to do that. Swatches. Move around some windows. Okay, so what I want for this is going to be maybe a dark green for that color, and then maybe a lighter green. Ooh, not that light of a green. Maybe a lighter green for this one, and maybe this guy is going to be in maybe I suddenly feel like this is like Frey Forestry Services because I was about to choose brown. Maybe that wouldn't work. Maybe blue. Oops. Maybe green. Maybe the light green. I kind of like that color. Yeah, okay, and then we'll make this dot a dark green. Okay. All right, so here's my logo in color, shades of green, apparently. And so what I'm going to do is show whatever the color swatches are at the bottom, and then also I could title them if I want to, or I could just kind of leave them as swatches. So let me show you guys how to do that. And this is, again, however you're going to show these is kind of up to you, but you do have to show them as a swatch or have them in a written out form as to kind of like what the formula is that makes the color. So I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to have this guy. So this is this color green. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And then we're going to have this guy, which is that color green. And I'm actually, if you're paying attention, I'm working in RGB, so I'm not doing my CMYK quite, but I will be doing that soon. Okay, so super simple, just give it color and then put your colors as some sort of swatch in the piece. And then to find out if you want to see the names of your colors, I'm just going to double click on here and you'll see it brings up the color picker. And this is where it's super easy once you have the color picker, because you can see what your numbers would be for the different color pathways. So if you were doing RGB, your colors would be 0, or RGB it would be 0, 104, and 55. So if you wanted to show that 0, 104, 55, you could just type in here RGB. It'd be really nice if you could actually see that, but you will in just a second. Okay, R is going to be 0, 54, and 105. And I think that was what it was. Oops. 0, 104, 55, 55, not 105. Okay, so you could then take this, and however you want to show it, if you want to have the colors as well, you can put that over here. Well, let's make that white so we can actually see it. So that's for this color. And All right, Princess says, can we just have the squares? Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the squares as well. Mostly because if you took a sample through within the software, you could also see it. Okay, and then double click. So 140, 198, and 63. $140, oops. $140, $198, and 63. And if you wanted to get super technical, you could do colors used or something. Okay, so you kind of have this info, which is going to be very good. All right, and then this is where it's going to get a little bit like, wait, what are we doing? Why are we not just doing this in the same piece? But just stick with me for a second. Oh no. Oh, sorry to hear that, Nick. Yeah, hopefully you're okay. Looks like Nick lost his power. All right, so we're gonna copy this, paste this. So we have our notations of what this would look like in our in RGB as far as what that would be. And so then the second version that we're going to do is what it would be in CMYK. And ideally, it's going to be pretty much basically the same colors. So they're gonna look similar. But if they were created using CMYK rather than RGB, they're going to be created using a slightly different system. So you can actually just copy it directly because it's all on screen. So on screen based RGB and CMYK are basically identical, but you would need to change these guys with the notation. So again, same thing. So 90%, 90, 33, 99, 26. See if I remember that. Probably not. Okay. 90, 33. So always just double click on your swatch. You get all the information, 99, 26, 99, 26. Okay, and then for the sky, 50, 0, 99, 0, 50, 0, 99, 0. Okay. Okay, so we got black and white, grayscale, RGB, CMYK, and let's see if there's anything else we are missing. Oh, logo in lots of sizes, and then on dark backgrounds. Okay, so we're going to do the logo in sizes next. So 1, 3, and 6. Okay, so far, hopefully this is feeling pretty easy. You know, it's kind of just logical. It's a layout game. So we're going to create one more artboard, maybe 2. So artboard tool, new artboard, hover, and put it here. Okay, and then we're going to do it in multiple sizes. This is where the rubber meets the road to see if it actually works. So 1 inch. is where you realize I don't have a great memory because I have to keep on going back and forth. Okay, shown in the following sizes. So 1 inch. So basically what this means is 1 inch high. So if you have a very long logo, as I am going to, you know, think about 1 inch high, and then it might need to be bigger than 1 inch in length. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have a fairly square logo, it can be kind of 1 inch square. But if it's like this in layout, you know, think 1 inch high, and I'll show you. Excuse me, I'll show you an easy way to do kind of how that is, or how to figure that out. So click on your rectangle tool, and then click once in your document, and you should have a little box that pops up that says rectangle. And this allows you to size your rectangle. And so what you're going to do is just type 1 IN in the height and click OK. And then it's going to give you a little rectangle that is 1 inch, high. And then once you have that, you can take your logo and copy the whole thing and paste it onto your artboard and basically shrink it down. So hold down your shift key as you resize it, and then bring it up so that it fits basically into that little square. And then once you have it in the square, just delete the square, and your logo should be roughly 1 inch in size. So we're going to do the same thing for 3 inches. So click on the square, click once, height is 3 IN, and click OK. Woo, that's a big, I'm going to run out of room on my artboard, but that's okay. Okay, so is it 1 inch, 3 inches, and 6 inches? Ooh, oh man, it's going to be big. Okay, so what we're going to do next, copy this. And it's interesting to see, you know, what happens with it at 1 inch. I'm definitely losing this little line, so that would be something to deal with as I was designing. But okay, so 3 inches, zip it up, and it's very important that you're holding down shift because if you're not, you're going to distort your logo, and we don't want that. Okay, and then I'm just going to extend my artboard so I get my 6 incher in there. Okay, so once again, click on the rectangle, click once, and then height 6 IN. Apparently need to make the artboard even bigger, which is fine. So yeah, so Princess, does this kind of answer your question? I know you were wondering about kind of how to do the sizing for your logo. It's super easy if you just use a box to size it. I find it's easier for me than, you know, doing calculations or math, which you could also use to do it, but okay. All right, so kind of seeing how the logo looks in all of its different sizes. And then for the black and white version, you're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to create another artboard over here. And again, make my boxes. If you were wanting to be efficient, you could have just made both sets of boxes at the same time. But, okay, so copy this and paste this and shrink it down. So again, this is giving us a good look as to how our logo would stand up to a variety of situations. So 1 inch, height 3 IN. Okay. Copy, paste. So hopefully you're seeing too, as I'm kind of going through this, that you know, once you have your logo design, this stuff, kind of the technical stuff for this week, is really not like, it's more just putting the logo through its paces to just see how it's going to work, and see. And as you're designing this, if you see something that you're like, ooh, this is actually really not working at all, like as I'm seeing my little jaggedy line looks so tiny when it's at the 1 inch mark, I'm thinking I should probably make that a bit thicker so that it would would stand out more, it wouldn't get lost, but we'll see. So if you have kind of one of those things that stands out to you, pay attention to that, and see kind of what you might need to do. Okay, so we have 1 inch, 3 inch, 6 inches. Okay, logo, black and white logo shown on a dark background, and color logo shown on a dark background. So final 2 steps. So we're going to come back up here and create a new artboard. So this is going to be the logo on a dark background in black and white. So what that's going to mean for my logo is that basically everything is going to turn to white. Let's see, get that. Turn to white. And probably what that will mean for most of your logos is everything turns to white. And just go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Okay, looks good. Okay, and then the logo in color on a dark background. See what that's going to look like. Okay, put our dark background there and get our logo in color. And again, this is just kind of running it through its paces to check to see if it does indeed work, if it were on a dark background. Ooh, it almost does, except for, did I not grab that little, ooh, I guess I didn't have that little dot. Let's grab one that has the dot. Okay. All right, looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to save these up. And yeah, so if you're watching, if you're here, or if you're watching the video, and you have any questions on what, kind of what to do for each of these, or how to lay it out, how to include stuff, anything like that, feel free to let me know. But you should have, yeah, like I said, it shouldn't be too tricky once you kind of get rolling with this to come up with your different parts and pieces and kind of see what would be the best option for things. All right, so before we jump into our final layout, going into InDesign and kind of see what happens there, we are going to take just a brief break and then come back in a bit. So sadly, we lost Nick, so I don't know if we have our class whiteboard drawer. So I think I'll actually leave this up so we can just kind of have a visual of all the different parts of what you're going to work with. So kind of look at that and check it out. So just a reminder, if you're watching via video, we will have about 10 minutes of silence, but great time to start working on stuff and kind of see what might come together. All right, so see you guys in just a little bit. All right, so let's actually get back into things. A bit less than 10 minutes, but that's okay because I want to make sure that we get to everything. Since I do need to end our session promptly at 4 my time. So, all right. So we finished up with our different layouts to put our logo in. So now we're going to just open up InDesign and see how we should get this whole thing laid out and kind of go from there. All right, so I'm going to open up my file in a second. As soon as InDesign decides to open. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a new document, and I would recommend that you make it letter size, and it can really be whatever orientation you want. I think I'm going to do portrait still, and turn off facing pages, and click OK. And yeah, Princess, I can take a look at your work, maybe at the end, maybe via email. We'll see kind of how time goes. Okay, so first thing we are going to do is just set up our master page, since as we see in our assignment instructions, you want to have a title bar with both your name and your client's name on every page. So we're going to set that in our master page so that we can put it in once and not have to think about it anymore. So I'm going to double click there, and I'm going to put my name and my client's name. So Lisa Hammersheim, Frey Financial Partners, and change it from Minion to Myriad, mostly because I don't like Minion. I like Myriad better. And let's make it just slightly larger. And maybe to kind of make it extra fancy, I'll put it in a box at the top. And to continue to make it extra fancy, I will make the box a color, maybe yellow. Looks kind of nice. Okay. And then send that to the back. So object arrange, send to back, and see kind of how it's going to look. Okay. All right, so we have that on our master page. So every new page that we create will have that as a headline, which is helpful. It'll just kind of be one less thing we have to put on there. So you don't have to put the yellow bar. You just have to have your name as well as the client's name. Okay, and then see what else we need. A title bar. Okay, the original logo clearly marked before or existing logo. I don't have my existing logo, but that's okay. All right, so you guys should all have your logos, and you can download it from the box again if you don't happen to have the existing one. But I'm just going to put a yellow box. So this is signifying the logo before, and I'm just going to put a little label on it. Should be logo before, and make it Myriad Pro bold. No, you don't need to make any colored boxes. Yeah, I'm just doing it because it's kind of like a stand-in. So this would be whatever your before logo is. So logo before. Okay. And now you're gonna set the stage as to how terrible it was at the beginning, so that then everything that comes afterward is clearly so much better, and you look at it and say, yes, excellent. Okay, so we're going to do next thing, logo in black and white, and everything after point number 2 is the new thing. So even though it doesn't say new logo in black and white, just know this is what you've created. So your thing that is much better. So basically what I'm going to do, it's going to be super easy. I'm just going to come over here, copy it, since this is in Illustrator, Command C, and then come into InDesign and paste it, Command V. So this is the logo in black and white. So Illustrator and InDesign play very well together. So you can just copy and paste back and forth and it should be good. Okay, so logo in black and white, next page, logo in grayscale. So copy it, come into here. Okay, next page. Logo color swatches in CMYK. Okay, so logo in CMYK with the swatches. So that'd be this guy. So I'm just going to copy everything. Command C, come into InDesign, Command V to paste. New page. So really easy once you build it in Illustrator, because you can just basically copy it back and forth between Illustrator and InDesign. And it looks very organized. Okay, let's see. Princess says, do we put them all in master pages or is it okay to put them on regular pages? You're gonna have to put them on regular pages. So you just put your title on the master page and then everything else will go on regulars. Yeah. Okay, and then the logo in multiple sizes. So copy and paste. Ooh. And apparently that's not going to work as cleanly because they're quite large. So we're going to copy that more individually. So copy, bring it in here. Oh man, it's not going to fit at 6 inches. Okay, so if you have some issues with sizing, you might need to rotate it. Would that work? Oh man, that just looks so awkward. I guess that's gonna have to work for right now. Let's see. Princess says, it says to put black and white logo on dark background. Is it okay if I did dark blue? Yeah, as long as you're doing the black and white logo on it. It doesn't matter what your dark background color is. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna do that for the 6-incher. Probably a sign that I should have had my page layout be the other direction, but that's okay. Okay, so those are my two. So this is, put the bigger one at the behind. So this is my 1-inch, my 3-inch, and then my 6-inch over here. And then we're going to do the exact same thing in black and white. So 1 and 3, putting it in there. And then my 6-inch. Okay, you did pink on the colored one. Is that okay? Yeah, as long as it's a color, yeah. Okay, so we have that, we have that. Okay, so black and white logo shown on a dark background, color logo shown on a dark background. Okay. So black and white on a dark background, copy. Okay, paste. Oops. And then a new one, and then color and copy. Come over here and paste. And you'll see I have 11 pages, and it says like minimum of 10. I would say maybe anywhere between 8 and 10 pages. Princess says 15. Yeah, it is kind of however you end up laying it out is the is the indicator as to how many pages you actually will have. So that feels pretty good. All right, so kind of check everything. Make sure you've got it all. And I think I've got it all. So come back through here. So this is going to be the logo before, logo in black and white. And excuse me, if you want to, you can label each of these as well, like logo in black and white, logo in grayscale. You don't really have to because I think it's fairly self-explanatory, especially in through here where it comes to, you know, whatever colors, whatever colors you used. So and then the different sizes, that sort of thing. Okay, so when you're all at this round, what we're going to do is just save it. So file, save as, and last name underscore assignment due, and save it. And then to actually turn it in, you're just going to come here to File and Export, and you want to have it as a PDF, and then save it that way, and save, and you should be good. Okay. Oh yeah, and that's good too. Yeah, I think there's actually the specific name you should be doing it. Some version of that as well. Okay, so when you're all done, that's the PDF that you're going to be turning in for this assignment. So the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to create just one kind of JPEG of the logo that you're going to put on your Behance site, and then kind of upload that as part of your submission. So we're going to look at how to do that. So you don't need to put all these sheets on your Behance site, like all the different versions of the logo. Just choose whatever one logo you like the best, like what you feel like is working the best, and use that as your submission to Behance. So I'm going to use this guy here. So I'm going to take this logo and just copy it. So Command C, and I'm going to paste it in a new document. So new document, create, and paste. And I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger so it kind of fills in my page. Looks good. And then from Illustrator, I'm actually just going to come over here to File and Export and Save for Web. So from Illustrator, I want to save it as a JPEG so that it can work that way. So Save for Web, and check that. And then when I'm in this page, I'm just going to make sure that the presets actually are on JPEG, and then maximum, all that good stuff, and just click Save. And then I'm going to save it as Lisa logo. So it's there. Okay, so save it as a JPEG through Illustrator, or through Photoshop or something, however you're comfortable doing it, and then come into the internet and go to behance.net and add your work. So hopefully everybody knows what their Behance account is and has been somewhat active in updating it, since it's always really good, and we've started building this into projects. It's good to update as you create stuff, because otherwise you reach a point where suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, I need a portfolio and I haven't been building it as I go. So it takes a whole lot more work. So if you kind of update incrementally as you have stuff, just a lot easier. Okay, so I'm at behance.net. You should be logged in with your Adobe ID. If you're not, you have to do the login process. But once you're here, just click Add Work, and then come to Upload Files, and then find your file on my very messy desktop. Okay, so there it is, Lisa logo. Choose, and it's going to do its thing. Oh, looks so good. Love it. Okay, then continue. And you'll see that it's going to give you a spot where you can put your picture. Just upload picture. Choose. Please choose an image that is at least 632 pixels high. I see this is going to be a little bit more complicated than I thought. Okay, it's 632 pixels. So you may have to go in again, since I'm only at 600 pixels high. So I'm going to make a new document, that's just a bit bigger. Do 700, 700, and make it bigger, and move it over. Okay, so once again, File, Export, Save for Web, and Save. We'll do Lisa logo, big. Okay, come back here and upload. And choose. Oh my gosh, please use it. Okay, well, this is basically how not to do this because you want so many things. All right, let's see if we can do save and it'll do its thing. Okay, continue. All right, well, we're gonna go with it now. Okay, so this one has to be at least 600, or at least 800 wide. All right, I'm sorry if you're feeling like you're getting very confused and like this is going to be way harder than just dropping in a JPEG. It's mostly because I'm not doing a very good job setting it up. But okay, so new document. Let's just do common web size. It'll be nice and big. And click create. And then put our logo here and just make it big so it works for all the ways to do it. Okay. And then file, export, save for web. And save it. We'll name it Lisa logo 2. And save. Okay. And now let's see if it will work. Oh, it works. Yes. Okay, and in fact, it's a little bit too big, so we'll just crop it down if we can. It looks like we can't because now it's too big. All right, well, we'll just crop it so it's not too bad. Okay. Frey Financial Services. Okay, so the moral of the story is you might need to go back and forth a bit before you get the JPEG that's the correct size, but it's okay. You don't have to, don't feel stress. Just do what needs to be done with sizing, and you guys can figure it out. Okay, so once you get here, you could change project settings if you want to, or you could just hit publish. This field is required. Okay, so graphic design, done. Publish. Okay. And then you could promote your work if you'd like. But yeah, so basically what just happened is we just put a logo into Behance and it's great. And it will now go into the whole overall flow of your activity. So, so in theory, that should take you all of about 5 minutes. It took me quite a bit more because I had to figure out sizing, so it might take you a couple minutes longer because if you run into sizing snags too. But the good thing is kind of just push through, see what they're asking for, and kind of see how you can make it work. So once you have it up here, just click on it and grab the link. So wherever you might be able to see it. So I'm just going to grab it and copy. So Command C, and then send it off to your instructor, or I'm sorry, to your FPA or AD. So if you need to know who that is, just let me know and I can provide that name to you. But send it back to them in an email, and then also copy me on the email as well. So if you're wondering what my email is, you can find it in the bio, which would be over here, instructor bio, and then you can just copy and paste. It's Lisa.Hammersheim, but it does take a bit of spelling, so kind of keep that in mind as well. Okay, so that's yeah, that's everything with this. So again, kind of the important things are finalize your logo first, and then put it in color, and then just kind of run it through its paces with being in color, being in black and white, being at whole bunch of different sizes, and then finally putting it on Behance, so you can send a link to your AD or your FPA, and then also just copy me on that as well. So good stuff. All right, so Princess says, can you take a look at my work and let me know what you think? I like feedback. Oh yeah, sure. So we have a little bit of time now. But so yeah, before we do that, if you're watching via video and you have any questions about anything, feel free to let me know. Remember, these logos don't have to be super complicated. Like, this is what I just did, works great. I like it. I'm totally biased, but I think it's a good thing. So if you're feeling a little bit like you've just fallen behind a bit, you know, feel free to, you know, just make a word mark. Keep it very simple. You know, kind of see what you can come up with. So it should be good. All right, so I'm actually going to stop sharing. Princess, if you want to just do a quick share, that would be good. Just kind of a disclaimer, I do need to leave in about 10 minutes, so we'll stop it there. But if you're watching via video, you know, you can feel free to stay, see kind of what's happening next, or if you have to go, that's understandable as well. Okay, existing logo, looks good. Yeah, it looks really good. I think the only thing I would say is actually I would get rid of the MAG on her chest, mostly because I just don't think you need it. It's like I think it's strong enough as is, and it almost feels like it's just kind of one more thing that yeah, I don't really. Oops. I don't really need. But what do you guys think? Okay, Nick says, is there a way to make text arc down instead of up in Illustrator without following a path? Good question. I feel like if you warped the text, it might work. Yeah, oh yeah, that looks great for the grayscale, Princess. You're there. I like it. Yeah, I think I would actually just, and one other thing you might consider doing too is I think I would get rid of the MAG on her chest, but I would also take, let me take my annotation tools. Oh, excuse me. Man, how did I completely just lose everything? Oh, they're there. I would take my text and actually make it, so I'll wait till you stop doing stuff. I would make your text like the full width of her body. So so just yeah, just zip it up in size, so that it's not as small, because I think I think it can stand up to her. It looks like I'm not quite sure why you're setting it in inches. I would set it in point. So yeah, if you just did the I think if you just do the drop down there, wow, everything's in inches. Whoa. Maybe 1.5 inches or so. Or yeah, maybe a little bit bigger. I think I'd say 1.5. Okay. Okay, you need to talk about week 1? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Mhm. You might even make it like a little, like, let me clear my box, you can actually see it. Take the Metropolitan Art Gallery and just like nudge it up, just like use your, select it and then use your arrow keys and just hit it like maybe 3 times. The arrow keys on your keyboard, that is. So just select it and arrow key up. It looks like it's moving slowly but surely. Yeah, I'd say that's good to kind of keep it. It feels just a little bit more connected now. So holding down shift is 10 at a time. Yeah, I like the single ones. Gives you slightly more control, but you do end up doing it kind of frantically for a little bit. Very cool. All right, so, well, I think we're actually going to, yeah, I think we'll wrap up because Princess, yeah, overall looks really good. But yeah, Thomas, if you want to just stick around, we can chat quickly and kind of catch up with stuff. So let's see, 1 inch. Yeah, those look pretty good as well. Well, I think you're going to update the logo, but otherwise looks good. Yeah, very cool. And actually try what I said about just drawing the box at 1 inch and see if that helps you in just the overall sizing. So that might it does kind of look like a rapper necklace. Yeah, she's kind of blinged out. And Princess, you know what I would do is if you want to just resize the original one, so you can just create your good version once, and then just take that and do kind of like what I did, where you just size it down, and so then you don't have to kind of do everything individually. You can kind of just do it once, and then kind of go from there. So whatever your first one was or whatever. Nice. All right. Well, thanks guys again for a great second week of class. Looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with their colorful logos and putting them through all their paces with all the different pieces. And yeah, looks good. Oh yeah. Oh, unfortunately, there was nothing on the whiteboard. We had a very short, very short time, so wasn't very exciting since you were gone. Nice. All right. So, Princess, could I actually ask you to stop the share? Mostly because we're gonna transition out. But yeah, overall looks good. Yeah, so very cool. All right, well, thanks guys. And as usual, if you're watching the recording, have any questions, just let me know as well.